Hey everybody, welcome to Friends Month on Pod Me If You Can. For our first obscure film, it stars Matt LeBlanc and it's called Lookin Italian. Also stars Jay Avacone and singer Lou Rawls and has a cameo from Denise Richards. The film opens with a brutal shootout and then jumps forward 5 years. Vinny, played by Jay Avacone, was previously involved with the Italian mafia, but now works in a quiet bookshop. His nephew Anthony, played by Matt LeBlanc, is a womanizer with a lust for life. We see him hook up with a different woman in each of his first 3 scenes. Vinny worries that he's hanging with the wrong crowd, and while his fast and free lifestyle works for Anthony, it does start to bring up demons from his Uncle Vinny's past. He must stop Anthony from making the same mistakes he did and ending up in prison, or worse. So when we first meet Anthony, he's hooking up with this girl on the sofa, and Vinny comes in, the girl doesn't acknowledge him, and he says, Hey, Vinny, what's going on? And Vinny goes to sleep. When Vinny wakes up in the morning, he comes out of his bedroom, and they're still hooking up on the sofa. The film goes a long way to make Matt LeBlanc look like a stud. There's one scene where Vinny holds up a huge box of condoms, and they all presumably belong to Anthony. Matt LeBlanc is in prime physical condition here, prancing around like a male model. He's wearing double denim, leather pants, hats. This would have been shot right around the start of Friends, so there are similarities because Joey Tribbiani, the character he plays in Friends, is an up-and-coming actor, and the character he plays here doesn't want to work in the used bookshop. He wants to be an actor as well. And for his first call-out, he gets told he doesn't look Italian enough to be the dead guy in a movie. The acting subplot doesn't really go anywhere, though. In flashbacks, we see a young Vinny, similar to Anthony in age, mirroring the possible trip Anthony will take. It's kind of a poor man's Godfather vibe. Vinny is constantly telling Anthony that he can't get involved with the Italian mafia. He's worried that, like him, he could end up spending time in prison. We watch a scene with Vinny where he's sitting in church and he's praying and he's crying. And we cut to a flashback of him having a really good time being in the Italian mafia. And the problem with that is it makes it seem like when it comes back from that flashback and he's crying, it seems like he misses his time being a stud in the Italian mafia. Not that he regrets any of the decisions he made that led to him killing somebody. Denise Richards has a cameo as Elizabeth, a girl that literally comes over just to fool around with Anthony. And Lou Rawls has a cameo as a newspaper man who is involved in the ending of the film. So I'll start by telling you something I really liked about the film before I tell you what didn't work about it. There is this one scene where Vinny and Anthony are having this big confrontation, and the director decided to do it all in one take, moving from room to room. This argument is really raw, and the fact that it takes place all in one shot, it's handled really well, and it's easily the best acted scene Matt LeBlanc has in the movie. You don't get to see him doing these kind of long dramatic scenes in Friends, and long takes are really well liked by actors, and you can see they would have really loved it. Unfortunately, this kind of range of acting is short-lived because Matt LeBlanc then just grins in a cheesy way. You know, the kind of Joey acting, though it's supposed to be dramatic here, throughout the rest of the film. So technically this film is not brilliant. There are these tracking shots that are quite shaky and they take you out of the film. There are these pull focus shots that are quite jarring and very noticeable. The musical cues are very bad here, and I don't really ever notice musical cues, but when you're playing a really big orchestral song and then it fades from that into the score and you just sort of, it doesn't sync at all, it's like a whole different tempo, you do notice these kind of edits. The film has elements of the movie My Big Fat Greek Wedding. You know, there's a large Italian gathering with many different Italian characters. Unfortunately, none of them are particularly memorable. And the Italian mafia subplot is actually irrelevant to the entire film. Because there's a drive-by shooting that is a random act of violence that kills Matt LeBlanc's girlfriend, who he's on a first date with, a blind date in fact, and his friend. It is the event that sends Anthony into a spiral, down a dark path, and makes him want revenge. It would have made more sense for the mafia or the Italian family to have orchestrated this shooting somehow and driven him towards them. The whole subplot about him wanting to maybe do crime with the Italian family goes wasted and nothing comes of it. The action scenes in this film are quite bad, and the kind of bad that a character will stand there shooting in a straight line and a straight angle towards the camera, and then one by one we cut back and forth between henchmen being shot. It's as if the henchmen are in a line walking towards our main character, and he's shooting them one by one, because he never takes any different angle, and therefore there's no depth to the scenes. It's just shoot, bang, pop, dead. I found myself feeling really sorry for Vinny's girlfriend, Danielle, played by Stephanie Richards. She knows him less than 24 hours when all of this happens, and she's stuck lending Vinny her car, which he's driving around, and people are throwing things at it. And that's not coming back in the same condition. People throw bottles at it, and yeah, she's just left sitting around while he's out at night. There is a supremely cheesy shot of them all walking in slow motion near the climax of the film, and an old man is carrying a young man. It's such a cheesy hero moment. I rolled my eyes at that. And the film gets wrapped up so nicely with lines of dialogue like, "Hey, the police have finally stopped bothering us about all that stuff." It's just like tying up loose ends with exposition. You can't enjoy that. The plot was muddled and overlong. We had too many flashbacks and too many scenes to explain the obvious fact that Anthony's a player. Also, the emotional impact of this girl getting killed is taken away by the fact that she was a one-night stand and a blind date, and he wasn't particularly attached to her, and, it was a friend of a friend sort of thing, or his friend's sister, but he didn't know her well. And he's obviously it's traumatic having someone killed in front of you, but you're kind of like left thinking maybe if he'd had a girlfriend in the movie, or a girl that he was starting to be serious with, that this would have had more emotional impact instead of a one-night stand. Guys, you can probably give Lookin Italian a miss. Matt LeBlanc is in prime physical condition, but you can see that if you Google pictures of him or you've watched this video, so there's no need to get the film just on that account. Technically, it's not really well made, and the story is muddled, as I said. I found myself disinterested and not liking the film more as it went on. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and watch for next week's Friends film. We'll find obscure films starring the cast of Friends.
Thanks for watching. If you like what you see, please hit the subscribe button. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Check out our podcast at www.podmeifyoucan.com.